Hey everyone, this is Dylan.
And this is Gavin.
And welcome to the first ever Millennial Button Mashers podcast. This podcast is where we try to convey our love of video games in a casual, armchair-like approach. Meaning, we're just talking about video games that we love and feel like deserve some extra attention. Keep in mind, this podcast is purely our opinions. You might disagree, you might agree, and guess what? Either is fine and fair game. Regardless, we want to hear your feedback in the comments, and if there's anything specific you would like us to talk about in the future, just let us know. But before we get into any content around video games we love and want to talk about with you all, it might be helpful first to learn a little bit more about us, our taste in video games, and what keeps us playing, just so you get a little bit more about our individual perspectives that we bring to the gaming community. With that, Gavin, I'll give you a chance to intro yourself to the viewers and the listeners.
Well, as I said earlier, my name's Gavin. I been playing games pretty much my whole entire life. For my full-time job, I'm in industrial sales, so really hand in hand with video games. Not really. I pretty much use them as a form of stress relief and entertainment. I play a healthy mix of heavy story immersive games, online competitive games, and then like goofy little party games with friends. So like your Clair Obscures, your League of Legends Counter Strikes, and then like stuff like Peak, Jackbox games, that kind of stuff. My intro to gaming itself was through my grandmother. She loved video games, and she got me in them when I was super young. I'd go hang out with her and watch her play like Mario, Donkey Kong Country. She even played like Tomb Raider, and so pretty much that's my start was your Mario Brothers and like console platformers. And then, that's pretty much where it got my intro to gaming.
Nice, Gavin. And your grandmother sounds like a cool lady. I actually did not have that same level of exposure with gaming. My gaming was more around my siblings, because I'm the youngest of four, and I just wanted to be the cool brother that would actually come along and play games with them. So without further ado, I'll do an intro similar to Gavin. I actually work in the high-tech industry, so similar to Gavin, completely off of where I thought I would be in terms of the gaming industry. Funny story that we could go into in a future episode is when I was in college, I actually originally wanted to go into computer science so that I could be a video game developer. Quickly learned that I hated coding, but I wanted to be kind of consultative and still help solve problems of sorts. And so that's how I got into like high-tech sales, basically. That was kind of my foray. I was starting in the video game industry, or what I thought I was going to when I was a freshman in college, but quickly pivoted. And really ever since growing up, I really wanted to be involved with video games in whatever way that I could. And now, even being so far removed from it with my full-time job, I still use video games as my ultimate stress reliever. I love finding games with great stories, amazing art direction, and those that leave a lasting impression. And whether that could be the characters that are involved in the game, the mechanics of the game, things that are brand new that we'd never have seen before, the twists, etc. And I also grew up as a PlayStation player in the late 90s, and I've oscillated between Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo properties, depending on the video game. Also my friend group at the time as well, and the genres that kept me involved in video games during that period of my life. And just a shout out, we're going to be talking about that in a future episode. That being said, I've recently taken up handheld gaming PC as well. It's an Asus ROG Ally X. So it's got me into the Steam community as well, which is pretty awesome in terms of just getting into indie experiences and other things I just didn't have exposure to before. So I'm loving that so far. But I would consider myself more of a console player. And being a busy professional, I just want a game that's engaging, easy to pick up, and it's always there so that I can just come back to it when I do have time. And I truly enjoy the games that allow me just to turn my brain off. And on top of that, I'm actually a voice actor for my side hustle. So just going back to my previous, collegiate experience, I wanted to get into video games. And I think the way that I had thought about that early on in my career was I did want to get involved in some acting capacity or creative capacity, but I just didn't feel like I had the talent at the time. I was also very heavy on the stage fright as well. But now I've actually taken up voice acting as my side hustle. So if anybody has any projects they'd like me to help on, please let me know. But that is a big reason that I still come back to the video game industry and finding those compelling characters that my colleagues are able to bring to life. It really gave me a reinvigoration of my love of video games and the community that is within it. But within that being said, I know we did some brief intros for Gavin and myself. What we thought would be cool here for our first episode as well is just 5 rapid fire questions. So Gavin, I'll actually let you go first on this one. PC gaming or consoles?
That's a tough question. I hate to to just completely fence it on the first question ever asked to me, but I like both for different reasons. Consoles, I love the plug and play approach. You can jump in a story, there's no pressure. There's a lot of like story-based games that really like and grasp you into the game itself. No pressure to finish. Sit and go whenever you want. And some of my favorite, actually, probably three of my favorite games of all time are all on consoles. So I love console gamings. And then also there's the fun party games like your Mario parties, your Mario Karts, all those kind of goofy games. Those are always fun. But I also love PC because you can get better graphics if you're willing to spend the money, and it has a better, more consistent competitive gaming capacities. Like I play like League of Legends. Unfortunately, one of the most toxic gaming communities out there. I'm a part of it, so I can say it. And then also like Counter Strike, also up there with that. So I really don't think I could choose one. I'm gonna go ahead and say both, and for different reasons, because they both satiate different things I like to get out of video games.
No, I agree, Gavin. I think there's two, well, used to be kind of two different types of gamers. There are computer-based gamers and there are console gamers. I think in recent history, and you can correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I feel like those two have kind of merged together because computers is a little bit more accessible. Would that be fair to say, I guess, from your
Yeah,
experience?
I would say it's almost like they've kind of like melded into one thing, because like you see a lot of games that are still competitive even on console, and then like a lot of story-based games, like a lot of creators are making story-based games that they used to do, big in the console exclusives and stuff like that. But nowadays it's like you want it to be on every console, and having it on every console includes putting it on PC. So you need to make it Steam available. So it kind of has merged into like the best of both worlds and that kind of situation. So it's harder to pick. I think it's harder to be a singular console or PC person nowadays.
No, I completely agree. And my answer to the original question, PC gaming or consoles, I think it's similar to what Gavin said. It's hard to pick because I think there's good things about both. But I will say I do tend to pivot to consoles. And I think this mostly harkens back to that plug and play element that Gavin mentioned. It's also my personality too. Just with the limited time that I have anymore with video games, I don't really want to fiddle with the settings, the resolution. I do only have a handheld gaming PC, so I don't have this massive GPU or 16 gigs of RAM to mess with. Unfortunately, I hope to in the future. But I really do like just being able to buy the game, turn it on, ingrain myself in the story. So I would definitely say it's going back to consoles, and it also might be some nostalgia there as well. Second question for you, Gavin: linear or open world games?
Hey, this one I do have a more defined answer. I do like both, but I think if we're talking like story-based games, I think the linear I tend to prefer linear based. Then don't get me wrong, I like the open world style. Well, I mean, one of my favorite games of recent history is Baldur's Gate 3, which is about the most open world game I've ever seen. And I love those kind of games, but my ADD type brain kind of panics when I play those games because I either do one of two things: either get as fast as I can from the starting point to the ending point, end the game, finish the main story, don't do any side quests, just all right, main objective, like almost turn it linear, or I spend 500 hours because I do every single side quest and talk to every PC and explore every inch of the game because I'm allowed to. So, like one of my favorite open world games, aside from Baldur's Gate 3, would probably be like the Borderlands series. Are pretty open while also keeping you linear. I like those. They're like do a good job. At least the first three. I haven't really played four that came out this
I
year,
was just
but
gonna
they
ask you
do a
that if
pretty
you
good job
played
of
it.
me.
Yeah.
I have not played Borderlands 4. Yeah, so I do enjoy the open world games, but sometimes I get choice paralysis with too much, so I do need to be put on those tracks of like go here, go there sometimes.
No, I would completely agree. And I think that's what detracts me sometimes from like these awesome open world games like we were talking about before the show, Baldur's Gate, obviously. I think it's won so many awards last year, the 2025. Like at some point I do need to get involved with it, even because even back to my childhood, my brother and I played the original Baldur's Gate together when it was purely couch
Hmm.
co-op. There's no multiplayer aspect of it. And I absolutely loved it. And it's something still that I hold, tight to the chest. It's a nostalgic play for me, but it's the time entry. Like I don't want to spend 100+ hours on one video game just because I do get kind of like the paralysis choice thing. But I think it's more so like there's so many good games out there. There's so many games I
Yeah.
have like to be played that I'm like, well, if I spend 100 hours there, I can't beat, 5 of the 20-hour games that have been sitting on the shelf, if that makes sense. So, yeah,
No, yeah, that totally makes sense. If
we'll
I could
dive
sell
into
you
a
on
future
Baldur's
episode.
Gate one more time, if I could give you one last sales pitch, I've talked to like 10, 15 different people that have played it, and it seems like no one's experience has been really that much similar. Like, obviously, the major story stuff, but it's like,
Right.
it's kind of a different game every time you play it because you just do something different, or like you kill this NPC as opposed to talking to them and doing their quests, and like you can be an evil guy if you want. You can put 100 hours into it, but your 100 hours is going to look way different than mine. So, like, you kind of like that's it. Like I said, it's the most open world game I think I've ever played.
Yeah, I got you. Let me ask you one final question before I answer this rapid fire one. With Baldur's Gate being really a true D&D game, did you play D&D before that, or did it get you into D&D after playing Baldur's Gate?
So the reason I picked up Baldur's Gate was because I knew it was partnered with the Wizards of the Coast and D&D. I had recently, in the last few years, gotten into D&D thanks to a couple podcasts, like D&D podcasts of people I like. That's a whole rabbit hole for another story. We can talk about that game, whatever. But basically, I was already into D&D and had played it a handful of times, and like that helped. But I mean, as long as you like high fantasy stuff, you're not going to be like overwhelmed. They do a good job of turning like D&D rules into video game stuff, so it doesn't feel like you feel like you're playing D&D if you've played it, but at the same time, if you've never played D&D, you're not going to be like, I don't know what to do. It's like, well, you do normal video game stuff with like RPGs. Like, you do that kind of stuff and you're same thing. So like they do, like that's one of the reasons why they won every freaking award the year it came out. Like it was a labor of love. The studio wanted to do it. They were lucky enough to be able to partner with Wizards of the Coast. Did a great job, and I took them like, I don't know. That game's been in development. It's been an open beta. It was in open beta for like 2 years before it even came out. So like it's been an awesome experience.
It's nice. Cool. I think I have a similar answer to what you said about linear or open world. I would definitely say I gravitate towards linear games. I think it just goes back to me wanting to unplug and experience a compelling storyline in the way that the creators wanted me to see it. But that being said, there are quite a few open world games recently that have really wowed me, including Elden Ring. I don't know if we have any Soulsborne fans out there or anybody that really likes those crushing games. I love them, but in the sense that it always has to have like super compelling art direction or like super cool bosses that keep me going. Things that just like pound me into the sand for the sake of doing it, I don't necessarily like. But like Bloodborne is one of my ultimate favorite games in that genre. I hope they have a Bloodborne 2 sometime. Hopefully. FromSoft, if you can hear me. But Elden Ring was really a great foray into the open world From Software space. And I think it really turned the industry on its head, and they continue to bring out more and more games in that genre, like Night Rain and some others, that have continued to do well. So if you guys would be interested in hearing more about FromSoft games, let us know in the comments below. But Elden Ring is one of my, I would say, god tier games, along with Bloodborne.
That is a game type. I love the art direction. I love the game, but I won't ever play it, and I'll watch people play it because I will get so mad that I'll just have a bad day. Like it'll make me so mad because it's the dumbest little thing. So I'll just watch people play it and enjoy it that way because I value my happiness over over
Yeah, I guess
just
what does that
losing my
say about
hair.
me? Like I'm just like hitting my head against the
Glutton.
controller, but yeah, glutton for
It's a
punishment.
glutton for punishment. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean I do the same thing with other games, but like I don't know, something about the Souls like games that really just get under my skin, and then I'm just like, nope, I'm not gonna do it.
Fair enough.
I'll watch, streamers play and all that other stuff and laugh at them when they get mad.
See, maybe I should get into that space because I am not the best. I am probably terrible in the like. I wouldn't say I'm competitive in any sense with any of these From Software games. I just enjoy it for the art direction and the boss design, and I want to take my time with it too. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people that are like, I beat it in 20 hours. It's like, well, did you actually enjoy it, or were you just speedrunning? Which, and I know we talked about this yesterday, Gavin, like with the speedrunning community and how that works. I think as long as you appreciated the game first and then you do want to speedrun it after the fact, fair game, right? But like,
Yeah.
I think there's like a barrier to entry for some folks because some folks are like, well, it's going to take me forever to play this game because I'm not good at it. I would say pick it up, try it, or do like Gavin said and just watch a streamer play it, because there's a lot of cool things that happen in those video games.
Yeah. Yeah, those games, I mean, they look beautiful, but yeah, it's like you're saying with the speedrunning, I don't think there's very many people that go into a game blind speedrunning it.
Right.
It's usually the reason they do it is because they loved the game and they want to this doesn't sound like they love it, but they want to break the game. They want to
Right.
break it and beat it as fast as possible, and like
Find
because
the
they love
glitch
the
in
game so
the
much.
corner
Yeah.
that they can jump through.
Yeah. You step in this corner, you slash 3 times and jump at the right frame, and you go through the wall, and then you teleport, and you're at the end of the game. It's like,
Right.
what happened?
Right, exactly. Like I know there's a bunch of people that play Sly Cooper like that. Shout
Mhm.
out to my favorite game ever. But same thing. They'll find like a glitch in the code, or they'll find a way to like sneak through something so they get bypass stuff. It's a really cool community. We'll definitely dive into that in a future
speedrunning.
episode.
There's like a couple. There's this one foundation called Games Done Quick that does a marathon every year, or 2 marathons. They do a winter and a summer,
Nice.
and the whole thing is like this big week-long marathon of different games, and it's all raising money for charity and stuff. It's really cool.
That's awesome. Cool. We'll have to link that in the show notes below as well. If you can find that link, send it to me. I'll make sure I include it. For sure.
For sure.
Cool. Next question. One game from this year that blew you away. I'll actually go first on this one, if you don't mind, Gavin, because I think a lot of this is going to pair into what you're going to say here, too. But Dispatch or Expedition 33. Dispatch, for those that aren't familiar, there was what, Gavin? 8 episodes, right? Or was it 10?
Yeah, 8.
Yeah,
it was 8 episodes.
Yeah, 8 episodes in kind of like a cartoon-like format. It was the original creators of Telltale games, so like The Wolf Among Us and some others. They just had a fantastic storyline and through line and tons of talented actors within the Dispatch video game, and it was kind of cool to hear how it came about and just like the creative capabilities that they gave to the actors. So if you guys are interested in learning more about Dispatch, I heavily recommend watching some things on YouTube, just people talking about it. We'll talk about it in a future episode too, I'm sure. But it was really cool. Exactly, just go play it. And it's easily accessible too. I want to say it's like $30, right, Gavin, on Steam, something like that.
It's like 30 or 40, so not like your 60, 70. So it's pretty good bang for your buck, honestly.
And it's approachable too. I would say, like, if you're not a hardcore gamer, but you do like a story or the compelling voice actors within it, you'll probably love that as well. But the other game that was really compelling to me, I actually got Gavin recently to play Expedition 33, which you'll have to tell me whenever you're finished. We'll talk about that in a future episode. But for those not familiar, or you live under a rock, Expedition 33 has won, I believe, like tons and tons of awards, whether it was Steam Awards, Game of the Year Awards on multiple YouTube channels, the Game Awards that just were recently in LA. They basically had like a clean sweep amongst like audio, art direction, indie developers, etc. So just a really cool, creative story. One, amazing voice actors. With Jen English, I believe, and Ben Starr and some others, just creating really compelling stories. And I actually watched a recent podcast that SkillUp did on the making of Expedition 33, and I guess this was like a 5-year in the making story of like what was the original story before they really got their feet under them, what was the funding story looking like when they had to go out to publishers to potentially get this published out into the market, and like there was several rewrites that happened throughout the experience as well. And I think the most compelling thing now, knowing a little bit more about the making of Expedition 33, and we'll go into this in a future episode too, I'm sure, is how many amateurs were involved in that project and how much it shined. I think it was something that was so fresh into the video gaming space and kind of turned turn-based action RPGs on their head, because it took things that were really beloved from like Final Fantasy and others, but it also added the unique parry mechanism that keeps you engaged. That was something that always, for lack of better words, pissed me off from previous turn-based games, is you kind of just went and then you sat there and you just got beat up for no reason, right? You didn't have any ability to dodge or block or anything like that. And I think that's one thing that just kept me engaged with that unique turn-based mechanic. But all that being said, too, I think the story was super compelling. The characters were compelling. And honestly, I can't wait to play it again once we get through some more of my to-be-played video games. Gavin, what do you think? What's this one game from this year / 2025 that blew you away?
Yeah. Had we written the script for this, probably a week later, I probably would have added Clair Obscur Expedition 33, as since you finally broke me down and I got it. I played it for 3 straight days. So yeah, it's pretty up there. Also another big voice actor, or he's not a voice actor, but was a voice actor on the show. Charlie Cox
Yep.
played Daredevil.
Yep.
Big. He was one of the main characters in that, which was pretty cool. But yeah, for my games, I picked Dispatch as well. You're welcome for that recommendation.
Another one that you were beating
And
down my door to play, so I appreciate
it's
that.
true. We beat each other's doors down, and then look what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So another cool thing that I think it kind of links back to the whole D&D thing. One of the reasons it got off the ground as hard as it did is the studio ad hoc that made it. Like they had reached out to one of the people from Critical Role, and her husband, who's also on Critical Role, basically like read the script and was like, "Wait, we need to be involved with this. Like this is
Mm-hmm.
awesome. Like this like we need to do something about it." So now they're like, I don't know if they're owners or like part owners of Ad Hoc, but I know like Critical Role and Ad Hoc Studios are like they're
Very tight
together,
knit.
like
Yeah.
they're like in tight knit, like they're working on other projects together, and like there's a bunch of voice actors from Critical Role in that. And then I think one of the things Dispatch did that was really cool, just in general, is they have your, you have your pillars of the voice acting community. Well, you have like critically acclaimed Emmy and Oscar award winning actors as well. And then you just have YouTubers. Like they have YouTubers and streamers like Moist Critical Charlie, a very
Jacksepticeye.
famous YouTuber, Jacksepticeye, or like, and then I'm spacing on the third one. Oh, Alana Pierce is another
Oh
like
yeah.
YouTuber slash streamer. She also used to work for Telltale back in the day, but those are like big streamers that were like pretty significant characters. And then the one that I didn't realize for the longest time, Young Gravy does a voice for
Mm-hmm.
freaking Dispatch. And like so they kind of just like picked like a bunch of like random people and they made it like work. Is awesome. Another game that I but segued into another game. Another game that I really liked this year. I kind of got into these like roguelike games that are like, you sit down and I don't know if you ever played Balatro from a couple years ago that
I've
like won a lot of
loved
awards.
Balatro. Absolutely.
So
Probably the only
it's a
roguelike
similar
that I like,
vibe.
just to be fair. But
That's
go ahead.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's between the music and the gameplay. It's just
Oh, it's
it
fantastic.
also won just about every award that it could win. I
And I
think
think
the
it was
only ones
one
that didn't win
developer
it,
for a long time too. Like
yeah,
one solo guy.
yeah, yeah, and it basically the only time it didn't win an award it was nominated for, it lost to Baldur's Gate 3. So like
Yeah.
that you can't even be that mad. But another game came out this year very similar. It's called Clover Pit, where instead of poker, it's a slot machine. And you literally just
Interesting.
rip the slot machine and you get different stuff to make change your odds, and like there's a little bit of like kind of hinted at story and lore and stuff too, but it's at the end of the day it's just you're literally ripping slots and getting coins, and at the very start of every round it says let's go gambling. Like I don't know, something about that just like got
It's
me. It was
addictive.
fun. Yeah, it was goofy, and it's a great game you can put on while you're like watching something. You don't have to like
Right.
think about it. It's like you just put it on. It's a roguelike. No run's the same, which is one thing I like about those types of games. But yeah, I would say those are the two games, and we'll say two and a half with Clair Obscur because I'm almost done, but not quite
Yeah, totally
for
fair.
the ones that blew me away.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll talk about Expedition 33 in a future episode because I know people are
Or
just like
two.
raving about it, or two, exactly. I mean, I think I could talk for hours purely on just like the voice acting experience, coming from that perspective and being able to provide like how hard that is to create a compelling character, especially because it's a French studio, which we've talked about offline with
Hmm.
some of the Charlie
Yeah,
Cox
yeah,
stuff, which he does a fantastic job, but it's just a very challenging role to play,
yeah,
but they
yeah,
do
yeah.
fantastic. But we'll talk about that in a future episode because I think there's still a lot to be said. And again, for those that haven't done any research on anything that we've talked about, Dispatch, Expedition 33, or what Gavin mentioned with Clover Pit, make sure that you guys do look into those because those will be fun. But one sidebar question I do have for you, Gavin, before we go on to the next one. What's your opinions on roguelike? I'll give you my opinion first, and then you could tell me if I'm completely off base. But I think roguelikes 2025 was the year of roguelikes, in my opinion. Like, I feel like every week I would hear in like the gaming news that I was looking at is, oh, so and so released another roguelike, or this is another roguelike. Okay, between Souls-like and roguelike, I heard those throughout the entire year of 2025. I think that's why things like Dispatch and Expedition 33 to me were so compelling, even though some people might consider Expedition 33 a Souls-like, which I kind of don't agree with, but I guess it could be with the boss mechanics. But the reason why I don't prefer roguelikes like Hades and Hades 2, like I know they're good games, and I've actually played Hades, and also Absolem is a fantastic game too in the roguelike genre. I get frustrated though because like I play so infrequently. Yes, it's nice to be able to play around and like go, but at the same time I feel like it's like you're running a race and the finish line just keeps moving. Like you're never making enough progress. So like let's say you're trying to run a mile. I would say a roguelike is like you're trying to complete that mile, but you maybe get 2 miles in, then you die and you have to start over. And then you get like 1 mile in, or like you get super close at the end and then you die and you have to start over. So it's kind of like my own like little ism, I guess. I don't even know what to say, but like it just frustrates the hell out of me when I play roguelikes. But what's your opinion? Do you like roguelikes, or what's your
I
perspective?
love roguelikes. I love roguelikes. I was just looking at my Steam. I think this year specifically I downloaded and played 4 or 5 different roguelikes. I do like your marathon analogy. It kind of is like
Yeah,
running a marathon, but it's like running a marathon, and then sometimes at the very beginning of the marathon, you get an extra leg so you run faster. And then
true.
sometimes they cut off a leg and you have to hop on one leg, or halfway through the marathon, you get a second win for no reason, and then like it's way easier, so you just win, or like right before you're like a mile or two before the finish, and then they just shoot you because like
Right.
you like it just kills your run. I think the I think that's one of the things I actually enjoy because like it's a little bit different.
Glutton
Learning
for
it's
punishment
like
like me, but
yeah, I guess in a different way, yeah.
yeah, right.
But yeah, it's like it's different ways to play the game and still it has such a replayability factor, which is I think why I like them. Like one of the ones like I was saying, Clover Pit is one of them. I mean, there's certain things where you can like decrease the odds of like different symbols to show up and increase the other odds, so that way so you're really like you can make it so it's easier for you to hit those numbers, or
Kind of like with
like
Balatro and the Joker
yeah,
system. Yeah,
exactly. It's the same thing. They're Lucky Charms, but it's the
right.
same. It's all the same thing. Like you choose between like there's a famous streamer I like named Northern Lion. He said they're all
Hmm.
any roguelike boils down to 3 things. You pick three, you choose from 3 things, and then it's a great game.
Right.
That's the key to a great roguelike. You don't even need good gameplay. Am I picking between 3 things? If so, I love it. Like he jokes about it like that, but that's kind of how it is. Like you just like there's a pool one where you're shooting pool. It's called Drop Pockets. I think I have
I've seen
30
that.
hours
Yeah.
on it. Yeah, it's the same. It's same stuff, but like you can get different kinds of balls. You can get balls that are like planets, food, junk, and like they all score differently. And like I don't know, it's just a cool like strategy type thing. Like how do you want to shape your run? And I just roguelikes to me, I think the replayability factor and like the every run is a little different, so you don't get
Yeah.
the same game is like why I like them, because you just don't get the same game every time.
That's totally fair. Totally fair. And I know like a lot of people gravitate towards like Hades 2, for example, which again, I probably need to dip my toe into at some point. I'm still playing Hades 1 for those that have
Hmm.
played that too. I think it's fantastic, but I think again, the barrier to entry for me is like the goalpost keeps moving, and that's what's frustrating to me. But I'll pick it up. I think one of the things that was most compelling for me about Balatro, before we go on to the next question here, I think Balatro is so easily played on mobile, which was surprising to me. Like I downloaded it.
So I've
Yeah,
paid for that game 3 times
yeah,
on it was on my or no sorry only twice. I paid for it on my phone and on Steam.
on
Like I
Steam.
have
Yeah,
bought that game twice and I don't even care. Like I it's
mm-mm.
like I've gotten my money's worth.
Right, right. Same thing. I've done the same thing with other games too, like Expedition 33. Just going back to that, like I have Game Pass, which we can talk about how crazy of a subscription service it is now, given the price increase. We'll do that in a future episode, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
But Expedition 33 was a day one launch title for Xbox Game Pass. Funny sidebar story. So with Expedition 33, it came on Game Pass day one. I played it on Xbox, and then I played it for probably like a week before I went on a major vacation, and I was gone for like 2 weeks last year. And I was so excited to play it when I got back that like the second that I landed back in Indianapolis, I picked it up and I played it. And I got to a certain point in Expedition 33. I want to say I was still in Act 1. And it completely crashed my Xbox. And that's not because of the video game. It was just because of, like, I think my Xbox overheated. But it was so funny. Like, looking back on it, at the time, I was very upset. But
Yeah.
I downloaded it, and then it crashed, and, like, whatever. I was so upset that I went out of my way to... I have a PlayStation 5 as well. I downloaded it on PlayStation 5 and finished it on PlayStation 5. I'm just thankful, though, that, like, one, I wasn't that far into it, so I could, like, pick it up and still do it, and finish the story on PlayStation, which was probably a better experience anyways, just from, like, a console performance perspective. But it's just funny that Expedition 33, while it's not taxing on the system, somehow it, like, bricked my Xbox, which I've got a new one since then, but it's just funny.
I mean,
so, sorry to sidebar,
graphically, it could have been taxing it. You know, it's a very pretty game.
Mm-hmm.
And
especially
creepy.
if you play on PC.
Yeah.
For sure.
It definitely turned up the temperature of my PC playing it.
Yeah, for sure. Just blast all your fans in your room onto it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Next question, I should say. One game that made you fall in love with video games as a kid. And you can go first on this one.
All right. I have 3 games because I can never pick one. I can never pick one thing when you make me pick one thing.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. It's my problem. There's 3 that immediately come to mind when you ask this question. 2 that I played with my grandma when I was a kid, and then 1 that I watched her play. The 2 that I played were Crash Bandicoot and like Mario, like Super Mario.
I'm assuming Crash Bandicoot was on PlayStation 1, right?
Yeah, on the original PlayStation. Yep.
The
original Crash Bandicoot. I mean, we played all 3 of like the first trilogy, but then like Mario was on like Super NES. I mean, we'd alternate lives, you know, we'd die past the controller, or she would just play, and then she would play until she got mad and couldn't get past the section and would hand me the controller like, get me past this, I can't do it.
Right.
But the one I watched her play that I never really played, I don't know why. I think I just liked watching her play, was Tomb Raider, funny enough, which is crazy. Like, that's such a random game for like a grandma to play, you know?
Right.
And for those of you who don't know what Tomb Raider is, it is a game about a badass female character named Lara Croft. She's a British archaeologist exploring ancient tombs, hence the name. And you spend the time solving puzzles, fighting enemies, and like looking for stuff like famous artifacts. Basically, it's like a badass Indiana Jones. It's kind of like really cool. And it was fun watching it play because sometimes like randomly, like, I don't remember which one it was, but dinosaurs, like you're shooting dinosaurs with Uzis, and it's like, what is this game? This is crazy. And she loved the game. Yeah, she was really awesome, and she's basically the reason I got into video games. And I mean, I have a tattoo for her because she passed away. It's of Crash Bandicoot, and it just like that's why it's her. The memories I have with her and I playing Crash Bandicoot are why it's still one of my favorite games, and it's still like means a lot to me. So that's one of the games those are the 3 games I guess that I think of that what got me into video games.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. I think I did play those games as well in my childhood. And so cool too that you've had like a special bonding moment with your grandmother as well at the time. Just so cool. Cause like my foray into video games was very similar. Like I mentioned before, like being the youngest of 4 siblings, like I just wanted to be the cool brother, the one that could, you know, play the game. And also like, I think you and I kind of grew up in an era of like, there was no multiplayer yet. There was just like compelling stories. There were 3D platformers everywhere. And I think honestly, we probably grew up in one of the best gaming generations, just selfishly. Again, there's going to be more games in the future that are really compelling, like, you know, GTA 6 to the masses later this year, et cetera, et cetera.
If it ever comes out.
Right. If it doesn't just keep getting kicked down the line, we'll see it when it happens. But I think it's really cool that both of us had like a similar experience where family members kind of got us into it. And I would say one game personally for me that made me fall in love with video games as a kid was definitely those 3D platformers of the early 2000s. Sly Cooper, obviously, I showed you guys my shirt here. Shout out to Hot Topic for having some awesome merch there. But among Sly Cooper being just an amazing 3D platformer with, I want to say there's 4 video games in that series. I just liked the original trilogy. I think those were the most compelling. I like 2 the best out of those 3. But I would also say this was among the time period of things like Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, like you name it, there was a new 3D platformer coming out. And I will just say selfishly, with the Game Awards that came out recently, they dropped a trailer for, I think it was Barry the Badger. I don't know if you saw that, Gavin.
Yes, yes.
But it looks
that
legit.
game got me excited. That game
Yes.
got me. That is one of the few games from the Gamer Awards that I was like, dude, I want this game.
Yeah, for sure.
I already wishlisted it. It's already wishlisted on Steam. It's going to get purchased.
For sure. Do they have a release date on that, by the way? I don't think they do.
Ooh, I don't believe so. I think
Okay.
the release date is 2026. Like that was like a soft release date.
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up really quick while we're on here. Yeah, it's to be determined. Which, for those that don't know what we're talking about, go on YouTube and just see what this looks like, especially if you're like a younger millennial like Gavin and myself. Like, you'll absolutely gravitate towards it. Like, to me, it was like that nostalgia play, and I don't care. I'm playing that game. I don't care how much it costs. I mean, don't hear me, publishers, like, make it cheap, but like it's one of the coolest like video game announcements that they made at the Game Awards. I mean, there were several, right? But like, I think that one was the one where most millennials got out of their chair and like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they
knew what they were doing with that
nod.
trailer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Cool. But yeah, like for me, again, my favorite series of all time is Sly. Like, I think I play that at least once a year, and I think I have it on my PlayStation 3 that's right behind me as well. So I might play that later this evening. We'll see. More of that to come in a future episode. We'll talk about 3D platformers and the ones that we really gravitated to as kids as well.
What's funny on that?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
What's funny on that? You mentioned Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, and Sly Cooper, and out of those 3, the one I played least was Sly Cooper, and it wasn't because I didn't like it. I played Ratchet and Clank. I played all of those. Like those ones specifically were like great, and like those ones were my favorite. And then I played a lot of Jak and Daxter, and then for some reason Sly Cooper was just the one that I played least. Like, there's no reason for it. It's just funny. It's just funny that like that one is the one you played the most, is the one I played the least. But like so. It's just funny.
No, that is funny. I think, to your point, too, like, most people know that Sly Cooper exists if you were, like, a gamer in the early 2000s. But there's, like, a hardcore community that I follow on Reddit as well. Shout out to that Reddit community that's always posting, like, when are we getting Sly 4 or Sly 5 or whatever? Because there's, like, a niche community that I personally felt like I was the weirdo that was, like, clinging on to hope of, like, potentially getting a new Sly game. But they keep me young, so I appreciate all of them that are on that channel. Last question for you, Gavin. I'll actually go first one on this one, and then I'll let you answer as well. But last one is slightly different. What's the very first video game that you can remember playing as a kid? So I'll go first on this one. I think the very first console that I really had access to that I played often was probably the Nintendo 64. I briefly remember a time period where my siblings and parents played the Super Nintendo. I could be completely off on that. I remember like what it looked like and how it played, but I don't remember the games that I played on it. So selfishly, I'll lean into more of the games on the Nintendo 64 that I do remember playing. I think the first one that I remember coming back to a lot, first things first, was GoldenEye 007. I think everybody played that. But I think even before that, in that era, I played Donkey Kong 64. And I think that was the first like game that I can remember playing that was almost like RPG style, which is kind of interesting to think about it now and in retrospect. But like, that was the game where you didn't just play as Diddy Kong, you didn't just play as Donkey Kong, you were able to play through all the Kong brothers and sisters, which I thought was neat. And it also had a really cool art style for the time period too. I think that that game and that foray of almost 3D platformer like kind of video game style gave me the itch to play more games like Banjo-Kazooie, then ultimately Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank, and Jak and Daxter. So shout out to Donkey Kong 64. I think that's still one that I hold tight to the chest and special in my heart. But Gavin, what are the games that you can remember playing? Like the first video game that you remember?
Real quick, the sidebar on GoldenEye was one of the first like multiplayer games. Like you brought people, you'd bring you'd bring people over, you'd have 364s, and you'd
Mm-hmm.
have TV split screen, and
Right.
it also had like the most banger pause music of all time. I still see memes to this day about people like talking about that music,
Oh, absolutely.
and which is just
Fire.
crazy. And it's from what, like 1998 or
Yeah,
something
I'll
like
look it
that.
up
And
right now, but I'm pretty sure.
it's a tie-in video game for a freaking
Right.
007 movie, and it's like one of the best video games ever. It's crazy. Like it should on paper it shouldn't have been. But I agree with like but funny enough that you mentioned Donkey Kong being your first. Mine is also Donkey Kong, but it's Donkey Kong Country 2. So
Mm-hmm.
like the side scroller platformer. It's one of the like first games I remember playing with my grandma, and I remember one of the first times, like one of the biggest memories I have with that is like jumping off. You like there's hidden barrels in certain areas where if you jump off a cliff that normally would kill you, you
Yeah.
jump off and it like shoots you halfway across the map, and like accidentally finding one of those for the first time is like one of the
Mm-hmm.
first like video game memories I have. Because I'm like, oh, I'm dead, and then like you don't die, and then it
Right.
just like you hear the barrel noise, you don't see it, and then it just shoots you like halfway across the map, and it's like, what the heck? So then you just like kind of jump off, jump off cliffs and like hope you find them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the
So
secret
you die a
areas.
lot. Yeah, you
Right.
die a lot though. But yeah, that's probably one of the first games, and then the ones I had mentioned earlier, your Crash Bandicoot, Super Mario. Those are like the first games I really played as a youth.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one thing, not to sidebar us too much as we wrap up this episode, that was the time period. I looked up at least James Bond. It was 97. So I'm assuming Donkey Kong Country was way before that. It was probably what, early 90s? Would it be?
Donkey Kong Country? That's a
Yeah,
good question.
I'm looking up now too. 1994.
Yeah, 95. Yeah, I see 95. Same difference.
But yeah,
94,
yeah, same
95.
thing.
Yeah,
Right. But
yeah.
what I was gonna say about it being early 90s, like I mean, I think we had some level of exposure to internet at the time. Like I don't think consumers did, but it was kind of like the coming of age technology. And if I remember back to that time, like I'm thinking even like my Pokemon days, which shout out to Pokemon. We'll talk about them in a future
Oh
episode
yeah.
as well.
30th anniversary this year.
That's right. That's right. Stay tuned and subscribe for more of those specific episodes. We'll be talking about closer to February, right, Gavin? Is that? Yep.
End of February.
Great. Yeah, that was the time period where you would basically go to like GameStop or like any of the other video game stores and you'd get like the booklets. Like I don't remember if you remember those
Yeah,
Pokemon
yeah.
books,
No,
but
I love those. I had
yeah.
I had a Pokemon one. I had like Super Mario Sunshine, Legend of Zelda. I mean, that was, yeah, like you said, is kind of before the internet. Like the internet
Right.
was a thing, but no one had it. And that's how, when you wanted your in-depth guide on how to figure out stuff, you couldn't just go to Google. You had to go to your EB Games or your GameStops and
Hmm.
convince your mom to spend $25 on this book that'll help you
Right.
win the game.
Exactly. Or I remember distinctly for Pokemon specifically, like, do you remember the dark tunnels? Like, this was before you would have, like,
Mhm.
Flash or anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. It
that
had
was the
the
only,
layout.
yeah, that was the only way that you could actually get out of that tunnel, or at least I couldn't until I had that book.
Yeah.
I mean, today the youths, they would go to internet and like get like a YouTube breakdown like of like the specific sections that you would need to know to get like those secrets. So I think that's just something
Yeah.
unique based on our own upbringing into video games. That's kind of lost on a lot of people that people probably don't even think about anymore. Is those
Yeah.
booklets and the impact.
The information is so readily at your fingertips that it's like you don't need to look for a book. You don't even need to make a book. It's already on the internet. Like,
Awesome. Well, this has been a great episode, Gavin. Thanks for taking some time and doing some nerding out on video games with me. We're looking forward to future episodes too, but thanks everybody for listening. If you're enjoying what we're doing, please subscribe, share, drop a comment below. Just please be kind to others as well as you do so. But we'd love to hear your feedback so we can shape future episodes around what you all want to hear. Of course, we're going to be talking about things that we love, but we also want to tailor it based off of what are things top of mind for you, especially if there's anything going into 2026 that you're specifically looking forward to. Please drop us a comment. We want to know. And stay tuned for our next podcast dropping later this month, where we'll dive deeper into our own Taylor Swift era style walkthrough of our childhoods and the video games we grew up with, from childhood to high school to college to now in adulthood. Thanks so much, and please subscribe for more.
yeah, thanks guys.